I've had a very terrible time in my life picking and choosing what is a priority. What are things that I actually need to be doing consistently in order to make sure that I'm getting to be that person that I want to be, The to have the goals, the opportunities that I want to have in life. And a quote that I got from my mentor Ty Lopez was, "He who chases two rabbits will catch neither." And it's a very clear and concise way to say, you got a lot of rabbits to catch. You got to pick which one you actually like. And so I think this is the thing that necessarily is the hardest for young people to wrap our heads around, is how to make the very most out of the opportunities that we have, whether or not we should follow our passion or logic when it comes down to it. And I say to you that from the great lessons that I got from the RTS games that I played in my life, real-time strategy games like StarCraft and Supreme Commander or whatever else, the battles that I waged with my action figures when I was younger, the most efficient way to go about living life is to accomplish big tasks, get them out of the way, and then do the smaller things. And the hard part is figuring out which big task to tackle first. It's usually the one that gives you the most anxiety, just for the record. It's usually the one that you really don't want to do, and the reason you don't want to do it is because you consider it to be difficult. So how do we break something down to make it easy is the real question, because necessarily we're going to want to tackle things that we deem are difficult in the beginning. Those are the ones that oftentimes are going to provide us the most opportunities. Now, I will put a caveat in and say that just because something is difficult does not mean that it makes it worthwhile doing. Okay, just because something is difficult does not mean that it is worthwhile doing it. Caveat. However, difficulty and responsibility, in the words of Jordan Peterson, will lead to the greatest adventure in your life. So why not spend the time and effort to understand how to break down difficult situations, difficult goals in our head? So first and foremost, setting a goal that we're excited about is the most important. Even if it pans out to be in the moment very, very unachievable or anxiety inducing, to have it be a part of something larger, a larger picture, that in my life has given me a lot more drive to get it done daily, and a lot more ambition to get people on board, to come up with a mission statement, or to come up with a prerogative that can excite more people. So having an emotional attachment to the end goal, super key. After that comes, what things do we have to fix in our life in order to make it more likely that that thing happens? So who do we need to surround ourselves with? How do we need to spend our time? What distractions do we need to eliminate? What are we willing to sacrifice for that goal? The necessity of saying to yourself that the goal is achievable, that there are actual quantifiable things that you can put into the mix that will help you determine whether or not doing that thing is actually leading closer to it. So there's the quantitative. A lot of the stuff that I just talked about was qualitative, in the sense that if we feel better, if we wake up with more energy, if we surround ourselves with people that think the way that we want to think, if we perhaps purchase or download applications that will help us make our time more efficient in terms of getting closer to that, more meaningful in terms of getting closer to that. It's the initial setup phase, right? Then becomes actually doing the stuff. And mark my words, don't spend too much time setting up. I'm going over it first because it's like, it's the initial exit, the initial kind of point of momentum. The why, you need to nail that down. But when it comes down to figuring out all of the little details, it's better to just go into it and figure out the details as they go. And that comes from more or less every single mentor that I have. Because the reality is, you don't know what you don't know. And in order to get to the point where we begin to understand the things that we don't know, we have to actually just move past where we're at now. So the key there is to think to yourself, what is the smallest possible action that I can make to actually get a little bit closer to this obnoxious goal? And the cool part about doing it that way is that it kind of eliminates the anxiety and stress that come with uncertainty, because the smallest step is usually something that's right in your proximity, or something that's going to make you take you a little bit out of your comfort zone, but is necessary to make it feel like we're actually growing. So after getting the why, taking the smallest possible little step, now you do these little steps again and again. And when we do these steps again and again, we start getting a better understanding of what we're capable of, why it is that we knew we wanted to do this thing, and whether or not we have the persistence. So we're basically just giving ourselves data in these small steps. What comes after that is actually a paradigm shift. What comes after doing all the steps and getting the why, the paradigm shift is, first and foremost, to get deeper into that thing, we do have to give some things up. We do actually have to continue to augment the environment, the qualitative things, to make it even more likely that we persist past it. To persist, we want to almost over prepare. We want to overdo the environmental changes, the augment of habits, circumstances. The reason is because when you overdo something, our chances of actually falling into a category that is satisfying, that gets us to the mood, is higher. After the little steps, the paradigm shift continues in that doing the same thing every day is not necessarily the way to get the results that we're looking for. In fact, if we did exactly what we're doing today in order to get a result that we've never gotten, chances are we're not going to end up getting that result. So the paradigm shift then comes from, I'm moving every single day. How do I move faster every single day? And that paradigm shift really requires some brutal honesty and mentors and people that are able to look at what we're doing in a very objective sense. The cool thing about getting mentors and finding those people that can look at what we're doing in an objective sense is that by virtue of spending time with them, and by virtue of understanding ideally why they're doing the things that they're doing or the way that they're thinking, that becomes a part of us. And over time, it becomes much, much easier to analyze whether or not what we're doing is actually improving the entire situation. So hopefully this video gave you a couple of different tips to go by when it comes to approaching these larger goals in life. And I'll remind you again, the key here is to realize the man who chases 2 rabbits will not catch either. So at some point, there will be 2 or 3 or 4 different things, I'm assuming if you're watching this video still, that you'll want to do. Each of them is integral to who you are as a person. However, choosing which one is going to give us the most opportunities and the most realities in life, that is a skill that comes with doing the task, figuring out how to be 1% more efficient every day, and then realizing that you only have so much time. So actualize your potential catalyst. The world needs you, seriously. And consider the small things. And always try to step back and take in the why. It'll make a lot of this stuff a lot more clear. If you ever need help, reach out to me in any capacity. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the other end. Take care of yourself.